When Justice Turns Dark. The Framing of Attorney Madison Hayes. Captain, I've been recording every single move you've made for the past 8 months. Every single one. The words cut through the drumming rain like a blade. 10:23 p.m. Interstate 85 Service Road just outside Birmingham's forgotten East Side. Captain Marcus Sullivan's hand freezes on his weapon. The black woman standing before him, Madison Hayes. 36 Birmingham's most fearless public defender doesn't flinch. Water streams down her face, but her eyes burn with something far more dangerous than defiance. Knowledge. The setup was perfect. Too perfect. 3 kilos of pure Colombian cocaine vacuum-sealed, professionally packed. Street value $180,000. Found in the trunk of a woman who'd spent 9 years defending the city's poorest residents. A woman whose father, Detective Jerome Hayes, had died under suspicious circumstances after threatening to expose police corruption. Sullivan's jaw tightens. The script he'd rehearsed for weeks suddenly feels like tissue paper in the rain. Madison Hayes never wanted to be a crusader. Growing up in Birmingham's Woodlawn district, she'd watched her father navigate the thin blue line as one of only 3 black detectives in a department of 80. She'd seen him come home with bruises he wouldn't explain, heard the late-night phone calls that made him pace the kitchen until dawn. When Jerome Hayes was found dead in his garage, carbon monoxide poisoning, the coroner ruled it suicide. Madison was finishing law school at Alabama State. The department gave him a hero's funeral. Captain Marcus Sullivan delivered the eulogy, calling Jerome a complicated man who lost his way. Madison knew better. Her father had been building a case. Names, dates, body cam footage that mysteriously disappeared. Evidence of a drug ring operating within Birmingham PD, using traffic stops to move product through the city. Sullivan had risen through the ranks like a political candidate. Handsome, articulate, with just enough military bearing to make white suburbanites feel safe, and just enough community programs to keep black leaders quiet. Channel 6 called him Birmingham's future. The mayor's office fast-tracked his promotions. Behind the medals and commendations, Sullivan ran his department like a cartel. Loyalty was currency. Silence was survival. Those who asked questions found themselves transferred to midnight shifts in the worst precincts, or worse. Detective Rodriguez, one of Sullivan's inner circle, had approached Madison 6 months ago, conscience finally outweighing fear. "Your father was right about everything," he'd whispered in a downtown parking garage. But Sullivan's gotten smarter, more careful. That conversation sparked Madison's investigation. Working with Rodriguez as an inside source, she documented 17 suspicious arrests. All black men, all with similar amounts of drugs discovered during routine stops, all along the same stretch of highway. The pattern was clear. Sullivan's crew was using seized drugs from evidence to plant on targets who threatened their operation. Madison's ancient Toyota Camry struggles through the downpour. The check engine light has been on for 3 months. Public defenders don't drive new cars. Her phone vibrates with a text from her teenage daughter, Jasmine. "Mom, you still coming to my recital tomorrow?" The blue lights appear suddenly, no siren. Madison's pulse quickens. This road she'd specifically avoided her usual route home. How did they know? Sullivan approaches with the confidence of a man who's already won. His uniform immaculate despite the rain. 2 more cruisers materialize from side streets. No lights. No official dispatch. Ms. Hayes. His southern drawl makes her name sound like an accusation. Broken tail light. Dangerous on a night like this. Madison glances at her mirror. Both tail lights glowing red in the reflection. Which one, Captain? Sullivan's smile is razor thin. The one that's about to cost you everything. Through sheets of rain, she spots Officer Chen near her trunk hands working quickly. Officer Thompson blocks the view from the street. It's choreographed, rehearsed. A 4th car arrives. Unmarked. A woman emerges Assistant District Attorney Patricia Brennan. Madison's stomach drops. Brennan only appears at crime scenes that will make headlines. Step out of the vehicle. Sullivan's not asking. I don't consent to any search. Madison's voice carries over the rain, hoping anyone might be recording. I smell marijuana. The lie slides out smooth as silk. That's probable cause, counselor. You know the law. Rodriguez stands 10 feet away, unable to meet her eyes. Their secret meetings, the evidence they'd gathered, had it all been part of Sullivan's trap. Madison steps into the storm. Water immediately soaking through her courthouse blazer, the one she'd worn while defending Anthony Williams just hours ago. Another young black man. Another planted evidence case. Another life Sullivan's system was grinding to dust. Captain, Chen calls from the trunk, voice pitched perfectly for the dashboard cameras. You need to see this. Sullivan's eyes glitter with satisfaction. Watch her, he tells Thompson, striding toward the trunk with the measured steps of a man walking toward a promotion. Madison sees it then across the street, barely visible through the rain. A homeless veteran she recognizes from the courthouse steps. Earl Washington. He's holding something. Recording. Sullivan returns carrying a wrapped brick of white powder like a trophy. Then another, and another. 3 kilos, Ms. Hayes. Federal weight. Mandatory minimum 20 years. You're framing me. Madison's voice cracks. Just like you killed my father. Sullivan leans close enough that she can smell his cologne mixing with rain. Your father was weak. Couldn't handle the pressure. But you. He pauses. You're going to be famous. The corrupt public defender who betrayed the very people she claimed to protect. The handcuffs click tight. Too tight. Thompson shoves her toward the cruiser, her knee catching the doorframe. Pain shoots up her leg. Through the back window, Madison watches Sullivan on his phone. She knows who he's calling. Channel 6 will have exclusive footage by morning. The headlines already written. Rodriguez finally looks at her as the cruiser pulls away. His lips move silently. I'm sorry. But sorry doesn't explain the envelope of cash Chen slips into his jacket. Birmingham City Jail. 5:47 a.m. The television in the common area flickers to life with breaking news. Madison stands among women she's defended, women who trust her, watching her mugshot fill the screen. Shocking arrest of prominent attorney Madison Hayes. The anchor announces with practiced gravity. 3 kilograms of cocaine discovered during routine traffic stop. Sullivan appears at a podium, American flag prominent behind him. No one is above the law, he declares, not even those sworn to uphold it. A reporter asks about Hayes's allegations of police corruption. Ms. Hayes has a history of making wild accusations, Sullivan responds smoothly. Perhaps now we understand why. Guilty people often attack those who expose them. The camera cuts to the mayor. To judges Madison has argued before. To community leaders she's worked alongside, all expressing shock, all distancing themselves. Her phone call to her sister went unanswered. Her law partners can't risk association. Her daughter Jasmine's recital is in 3 hours. Who will explain why her mother isn't there? An older inmate, Diane, approaches. They did this to my son 2 years ago, she says quietly. Said he had drugs in his car. Your father tried to help us before he... She doesn't finish, doesn't need to. The news shows Madison's office being searched. Boxes of files, years of work defending the innocent, loaded into police vehicles. Her laptop, her research, every piece of evidence she'd gathered against Sullivan now in his hands. The district attorney's office announces immediate suspension of Madison Hayes' law license. The anchor continues. Her current caseload of 43 defendants will be reassigned. 43 people, mostly black, mostly poor, all about to face the system without their fiercest advocate. The trap had been perfect. Sullivan had turned her fight for justice into evidence of corruption, her father's legacy into proof of genetic weakness. Guards approach. Hayes, you've got a visitor. But Madison already knows no one's coming. This is just the beginning of Sullivan's game. The news transitions to weather. Sunshine expected by noon. As if the universe itself is mocking her. Earl Washington sits in a doorway 6 blocks away, rewatching the video on his phone. The rain has stopped, but his hands still shake. What he captured could change everything, if he lives long enough to share it. The system closes in. Part 2. Haze your arraignments in 45 minutes. The guard's voice echoes off concrete walls. Madison straightens her spine. 8 months of preparation. Every move Sullivan made, she'd anticipated. Every trap he'd set, she'd documented. He thinks he's won. He has no idea what's coming. Cell Block C reeks of bleach and desperation. Madison's orange jumpsuit hangs loose on her frame. Stress has carved 10 pounds off in 3 days. Guards who once nodded respectfully when she visited clients now look through her like she's invisible. Or worse, guilty. Her cellmate assignment feels deliberate. Carmen Rodriguez, former EMT arrested 4 months ago with 2 kilos of heroin discovered during a traffic stop. Carmen had testified against Officer Thompson for excessive force just weeks before her arrest. Never thought I'd see Birmingham's Crusader lawyer in here, Carmen says after the lights go dark. The shadows make truth easier. They're getting bolder, Madison whispers back. Or desperate. Carmen shifts on the paper-thin mattress. Started 3 years ago. My cousin Marcus, he was a youth counselor, spoke at a city council meeting about police harassment at Jefferson High. 2 weeks later, Sullivan personally finds crack in his glove compartment. Where is he now? Federal pen, 15 to 20. Carmen's voice hardens. His daughter hasn't seen him in 2 years. Madison sits up, mind racing. How many others? That I know personally, 9. Maybe 10. Carmen counts on her fingers in the dim light. All had one thing in common. We stood up to them, filed complaints, testified, spoke out. And all the arrests involved Sullivan's inner circle, Kate. Him Thompson Chen, sometimes that new guy from Atlanta Mitchell. Carmen pauses. Your father's name still comes up sometimes. Guards whisper about it when they think we're not listening. Madison's jaw clenches. What do they say? That he got too close, that Sullivan made an example of him. Carmen turns to face her. They say you're just like him. Too stubborn to know when you're beat. Footsteps in the corridor. Both women fall silent. The flashlight beam sweeps their cell, lingering on Madison's face. They're watching you extra close, Carmen observes after the guard passes. You've got them rattled. Good. Madison stares at the water-stained ceiling. Fear makes people sloppy. Or dangerous. Carmen's voice drops to barely a whisper. There's something else. Something I haven't told anyone. Madison waits. My boyfriend worked maintenance at a warehouse on Pier 47. Industrial district near the old steel mills. Carmen glances at the cell door. Said cops would show up at weird hours. Unmarked cars, no uniforms, loading and unloading crates. What kind of crates? The kind that don't match shipping manifests. Carmen's breathing quickens. He started taking pictures. Next day, ICE shows up at his job. Deported him to Honduras. We'd been together 5 years. Madison memorizes every detail. Pier 47. Industrial district. Unmarked cars. The company that owns it, Blue Ridge Logistics, Carmen continues. But on paper, it's just storage units. Climate-controlled. High security. Blue Ridge Logistics. The name triggers something in Madison's memory. Her father's notes scattered across his desk the night before he died. Morning brings an unexpected visitor. Detective Angela Morrison, recently transferred from Atlanta PD, sits across the plexiglass barrier. Madison doesn't recognize the face, but something in the woman's eyes seems familiar. I don't take visitors, Madison says into the grimy phone receiver. You'll take this one. Morrison leans forward. I knew your father. Madison's expression remains stone. Lots of people knew Jerome Hayes. Not like I did. Morrison glances at the surveillance camera. We worked a joint task force in 2015, human trafficking case that suddenly went cold when we started finding connections to local law enforcement. Why are you here? Because what happened to your father is happening again. To you. Morrison's voice drops. And because there are more of us than you think. Cops who haven't forgotten what the badge is supposed to mean. Madison studies her. You're one of Sullivan's officers now. On paper, Morrison slides a business card across the metal shelf. My real employer has a different view of Captain Sullivan's activities. FBI. Madison keeps her voice neutral. Let's just say certain federal agencies have taken interest in Birmingham's unusual arrest patterns. Morrison stands. That number's encrypted. Memorize it. The guard signals time's up. They're moving your trial up, Morrison adds quickly. Monday. Sullivan wants this over fast. As Morrison leaves, Madison palms the card. Federal investigation or elaborate trap, either way, it's the first crack in Sullivan's wall. Courtroom 7 feels different from the defendant's chair. Madison's shackles clink against the table. The gallery overflows. Former colleagues, clients, she's defended media. Her sister Jasmine sits front row, press badge, visible smartphone, recording everything. Judge William Brennan enters. Golf buddy of Sullivan's. Member of the same country club. His prejudice wears a robe and carries a gavel. Bail hearing for case 2025 CF 2847 State versus Madison Hayes. Brennan's voice drips disdain. Madison's court-appointed attorney, David Chen. Ironic considering Officer Chen helped frame her looks like he'd rather be anywhere else. Your Honor, Ms. Hayes has practiced law in this community for 9 years. She has a teenage daughter, elderly mother, and no prior record. We request reasonable bail. ADA Patricia Brennan, no relation to the judge, supposedly stands. The defendant was found with 3 kilos of cocaine, Your Honor. Street value exceeding $180,000. Her position as a public defender makes this betrayal of public trust particularly heinous. My client maintains her innocence, Chen counters weakly. She alleges the evidence was planted in retaliation for investigating police corruption. Judge Brennan's face darkens. Serious allegations require serious proof, counselor. Does your client have such proof? It was contained on her confiscated devices, Your Honor. We move for independent forensic examination. Those devices are evidence in an ongoing investigation. Brennan cuts him off. Motion denied. Bail is set at $2 million. Gasps ripple through the courtroom. Even the court reporter looks shocked. Your Honor. Yes. Chen protests. That's excessive for a first offense. Ms. Hayes' intimate knowledge of our legal system makes her a flight risk. Brennan's gavel cracks like a gunshot. Next case. As guards lead her out, Madison catches Jasmine's eye. One subtle nod. Their contingency plan activates. In the hallway, she passes Sullivan. His smile is pure predator. Your father lasted 8 days before he cracked, he whispers. Let's see if you inherited his weakness. Madison doesn't react, but she memorizes his exact words. They'll sound perfect at his federal trial. The public defender's office feels like a crime scene. Madison's desk sealed with evidence tape, her files boxed and tagged. Jasmine enters with her press credentials, interviewing colleagues about the chaos of redistributing 43 active cases. While her recorder runs, she notices Detective Harris hovering near the file room. The older cop looks haggard, conflicted. Their eyes meet briefly before he turns away. In Madison's office, Jasmine photographs everything. She tries Madison's computer wiped clean, but Madison taught her about hidden partitions years ago. Her fingers fly across the keyboard, accessing a ghost drive Madison installed months ago. Files appear. Audio recordings, financial documents, names, dates, amounts. Jasmine copies everything to an encrypted drive, her hands shaking. This is it. The evidence that could destroy Sullivan's empire. Outside, Harris watches from his cruiser. His phone buzzes. Sullivan. The sister's in there now. Doing what? Sullivan's voice is sharp. Interviewing people. Taking pictures. Acting like a reporter. Is she alone? Harris hesitates. He sees Morrison's car parked across the street. Yeah, alone. The lie comes easier than expected. Stay on her, Sullivan orders. If she finds anything, she won't. Harris ends the call, decision made. He pulls out a burner phone, dials a number he memorized from Morrison's card. It's Harris, he says when she answers. We need to talk. Carmen's transfer comes without warning. Different cell block, different building. But before guards arrive, she grabs Madison's hand. Unit 47, she whispers urgently. Every second Tuesday, midnight. They'll be there tomorrow. Carmen. My boyfriend documented everything before they deported him. Carmen presses a tiny key into Madison's palm. Bus station, locker 237. Everything's there. Guards pull them apart. Carmen mouths one word, careful. Alone now, Madison examines the key. Smaller than a penny. Easy to hide. She tucks it into the hem of her jumpsuit, stitching it in place with thread from her mattress. Her new cellmate arrives that afternoon. Destiny Washington, 19. First offense. Found with a gram of cocaine she swears she's never seen before. My mom cleaned Sullivan's house, Destiny says quietly. She heard things, told me to keep my mouth shut, but I posted about it online. Madison's blood chills. Posted what? That cops in Birmingham were dealing drugs, that Sullivan was running it. Destiny's eyes fill with tears. Next day, they pulled me over. Now Mom's lost her job, and I'm facing 5 years. The pattern is clear. Sullivan's getting desperate, sloppy, arresting teenagers now. Listen carefully, Madison tells her. When you get out, and you will get out, find attorney Jennifer Woods. Tell her I sent you. Tell her everything. Why would she help me? Because she's my law school roommate, and she's been waiting for my signal. That night, Madison lies awake, planning. Sullivan thinks he's isolated her, cut her off from resources. He's wrong. 8 months ago, she started building a network. Lawyers, journalists, federal investigators, even honest cops like Morrison and now Harris. Each one waiting for the right moment. Her arrest wasn't a defeat, it was the trigger. Sunday morning brings unexpected news. Tasha Williams, her former cellmate, made bail. Anonymous donor posted $50,000. Madison knows no anonymous donor exists. The network is moving. In the visitor's room, her sister Jasmine speaks carefully, aware of recording devices. Your daughter's recital was beautiful, Jasmine says. Standing ovation. Someone recorded it for you. Code. The evidence has been copied, distributed, safe. Tell her I'm proud, Madison responds, and that sometimes the best performances happen when you think no one's watching. Jasmine nods, understanding. The hidden cameras Madison installed in her car 8 months ago. The ones that recorded every second of the traffic stop. Oh, and Madison, Jasmine adds casually. Dad's old fishing buddy called, said the base are biting at the usual spot. More code. Her father's hidden files have been retrieved from the storage unit he rented under an alias. Guard signals, time's up. See you at trial tomorrow, Jasmine says louder. David Chen says he's ready, but it won't be Chen defending her. Madison's already filed the paperwork. She's defending herself. That evening, Harris sits in his car outside Blue Ridge Logistics. Warehouse 47 is lit up despite being Sunday night. 3 unmarked police vehicles in the lot. Sullivan's personal BMW. He photographs everything, license plates, times, the crates being loaded. His phone buzzes. Morrison, federal warrant comes through at midnight. Need everything you have. Harris types back, Sullivan's here now, moving product. Don't engage, just document. But Harris is done watching. Done being complicit. He starts his engine drives to the one place Sullivan won't expect him. Madison's mother's house. Eleanor Hayes opens the door suspicious. Harris holds up his badge and something else, a flash drive. Your husband was right about everything, he says. I was too much of a coward to help him then, but I can help his daughter now. Eleanor studies him for a long moment, then opens the door wider. Coffee's on, she says. We have a lot to discuss before tomorrow. Midnight approaches. In her cell, Madison counts down. 8 months of recording. 6 months of federal investigation. 3 generations of evidence. Tomorrow, Sullivan thinks he's putting her on trial. He has no idea he's walking into his own prosecution. The trap isn't closed yet, but the hunter is about to become the hunted. Earl Washington, the homeless veteran who recorded the traffic stop, sits in a federal safe house, his phone in evidence bags, his testimony rehearsed. Morrison sits across from him. You ready for tomorrow? Earl nods. Been ready since I watched them kill Jerome Hayes 8 years ago. Morrison's eyebrows raise. You witnessed everything. Earl pulls out a worn notebook. I may be homeless, but I ain't blind, and I never forget a face. He opens the notebook. Pages and pages of dates, times, license plates. 8 years of watching Sullivan's operation from the streets. Jerome Hayes was a good man, Earl says. Bought me coffee every morning. Treated me like a human being. He turns to a specific page. The night Jerome died. Sullivan was there, in the garage. I saw him leave 20 minutes before the suicide was discovered. Morrison immediately calls the federal prosecutor. This changes everything. Madison doesn't know it yet, but by morning 17 federal agents will surround that courthouse. Sullivan's empire isn't just cracking. It's about to implode. The evidence emerges. Part 3. Especially my grandmother's locket and watch. Attorney Chen looks confused, but nods. He doesn't know Madison's vintage Omega contains a micro SD card with 8 months of encrypted surveillance. Sullivan's people searched everything except the one thing that looked worthless. Jasmine Hayes paces her downtown loft phone, burning against her ear. This is insane. They're railroading her to trial in 4 days. No discovery, no defense prep, nothing. Chen sounds broken on the other end. Judge Brennan's rubber stamping every prosecution motion. They want her buried fast. The message, she said, checked Dad's workshop, and something about Blue Ridge Logistics Unit 47. Jasmine's breath catches. I understand. She ends the call, immediately heading to her closet. Behind old yearbooks sits her father's toolbox, the one thing the police didn't confiscate after his death. Inside, beneath rusted wrenches, a waterproof case, USB drive, password protected. She tries their father's badge number. Failed. Her mother's maiden name. Failed. Then she types, Sullivan guilty. The screen explodes with files, surveillance photos, banking records, wiretap transcripts, 8 years of meticulous documentation. A folder labeled Blue Ridge contains shipping manifest property deeds, offshore accounts, all linking to a shell company registered in the Cayman Islands. Her doorbell rings. Jasmine freezes, pocketing the drive, through the peephole delivery driver with a package. She opens cautiously. After signing, she tears open the box. Inside a burner phone and her sister's handwriting, emergency only. 1 number saved, trust nobody else. At her window, Jasmine spots a black Tahoe across the street. 2 men inside, not even pretending to hide their surveillance. She texts her editor, family emergency, taking leave. Then calls her contact, Samantha Cross, former NSA analyst turned whistleblower advocate. Remember that story I mentioned? It's happening now. Where do we meet? Samantha doesn't hesitate. Dad's hunting lodge. Come alone. I've got company. The lodge sits 40 miles outside Birmingham, deep in Talladega Forest. Jerome Hayes bought it for weekend escapes. Now it becomes their war room. Jasmine spreads files across the oak table. Samantha examines financial records while Marcus Chen, MIT dropout, turned hacktivist, establishes encrypted communications. These shipping weights don't match the manifests, Samantha notes. Blue Ridge claims furniture imports, but these distributions match pharmaceutical-grade cocaine shipments. Marcus whistles at the screen. Your father mapped their entire network. GPS coordinates, dates, photos. This is Rico gold. Maybe not suicide. Samantha holds up a document. Your father had a meeting scheduled with DEA the morning he died. He never showed. Marcus's laptop chirps. I'm in their security system. Warehouse has 6 cameras, all angles covered. The screen shows Unit 47. Empty. Then, at 2:47 a.m., 4 police cruisers arrive. Sullivan emerges, followed by Chen Thompson and 2 unknowns. They haul duffel bags into the warehouse. 30 minutes later, they exit with different bags. Sullivan distributes thick envelopes. Payroll, Samantha whispers. Can we use this? Not legally obtained, Jasmine admits. But it shows us where to dig. Marcus curses. The 4th guy, that's Lieutenant Morrison, Internal Affairs. The one supposedly investigating police corruption. Jasmine's stomach turns. Her burner rings. Detective Morrison's voice. Sullivan's moving $5 million in product tomorrow night. Biggest shipment ever. How do you know? Harris flipped. He'll wear a wire. But Sullivan's also moving your sister to federal prison at dawn Monday before trial. That's not legal. Since when does Sullivan care? Once she's in federal, she vanishes. You've got 36 hours. The line goes dead. We need that watch, Marcus insists. Without Madison's recordings, we've got nothing solid. Jasmine stands. Then we get it. Tonight. She parks outside the Birmingham Tribune, her employer for 7 years. She needs her press credentials for the courthouse records. A Lincoln Navigator pulls alongside. Window drops. Sullivan's face appears. Ms. Hayes. His voice drips false courtesy. Beautiful evening. Jasmine's pulse hammers. Captain Sullivan, imagine meeting you here. Not imagination. Design. He steps out, towering over her. Walk with me. They move toward Lynn Park. No witnesses. No cameras. Your sister faces 20 to life. Sullivan begins conversationally. Shame about talented lawyers destroying themselves with drugs. You mean the drugs you planted? Sullivan laughs. Prove it. Another Hayes family tradition, accusations without evidence. His smile vanishes. I know about the lodge. Cross and Chen. Your little investigation. Jasmine's blood freezes. How? Your sister could get 5 years instead of 20. Sullivan continues. If certain activities ceased immediately, you're threatening me. I'm offering mercy. Sullivan's eyes go dead. Accidents happen in federal prison, especially to cops' daughters who know too much. A cyclist approaches. Sullivan steps back. Professional mask returning. Consider her future, Ms. Hayes. You have until tomorrow night. He walks away already on his phone. Jasmine reaches her car hands, trembling. On the passenger seat, a manila envelope she didn't leave there. Inside a photo of her entering the lodge. Yesterday's timestamp. Written across it. We're always watching. Instead of panicking, she drives straight back. They need everyone who's been framed. Now. We need the others, Jasmine announces, bursting through the door. Samantha looks up. What others? Every victim Sullivan's framed. Carmen told Madison there were at least 12 over 4 years. They spread court records across the table, cross-referencing arrests with Sullivan's crew. Deshaun Williams. Marcus reads, community organizer, led protests after Freddie Washington's death in custody, arrested 2 weeks later with 3 kilos. Maria Santos. Samantha adds, teacher who filmed Thompson beating a student, suddenly has heroin in her classroom desk. All minorities, all challenged Sullivan's authority, all got overworked public defenders who pushed plea deals. By 3 a.m., they've identified 9 victims besides Madison. Same pattern every time. Traffic stop planted drugs, excessive bail rushed, trial forced plea. Morrison calls. Harris confirmed. Tomorrow, 11 p.m., 5 million in cocaine, distributed by Monday morning. Why the rush? Sullivan's spooked. Your investigation federal heat? He's cashing out before it collapses. We need those victims' testimonies. Too dangerous. Sullivan's watching them all. But listen, the dashcam footage from Madison's arrest, 8 minutes deleted. Exactly when Chen was at her trunk. Can you prove tampering? Not without the original server files. Samantha interrupts, pointing at her screen. Found something. Sullivan deposits 50 grand quarterly to a Panamanian account, started 9 years ago. Right after Dad began investigating, Jasmine whispers. There's more. 5 days before your father died, he shipped something to a federal prosecutor in Atlanta. No record of contents. Marcus looks grim. 72 hours until trial. Sullivan's shipment tomorrow. We need to move. Jasmine visits Madison one last time. The visiting room's chaos provides cover. Sullivan threatened me directly, she whispers. Knows about the lodge, our team, everything. Madison keeps her face neutral for cameras. They've fast-tracked everything. Brennan's blocking all motions. We found Dad's files, the warehouse, offshore accounts. Morrison says Sullivan's moving $5 million tomorrow. You trust Morrison. Madison's concern shows. Harris is cooperating, wearing a wire. Madison leans close. My watch. Dad's Omega. It's in property storage. Micro SD card in the crown. Everything's there, 6 months of recordings, photos, documents. Cloud backup password is the date Dad died reversed. Guard approaches. 2 minutes. What about your phone laptop? Decoys. Everything important is distributed. Madison's eyes burn with determination. Sullivan thinks he destroyed the evidence. He destroyed copies. Harris enters the visiting area supposedly for another prisoner. Drops a note that slides to Madison's feet. Later in the bathroom, she reads, Sullivan has FBI moles. Morrison's clean. Watch Morrison from Internal Affairs. Moving you to Federal at dawn. Guards there are Sullivan's. The countdown accelerates. Less than 48 hours before Madison disappears into a system Sullivan controls. Outside, Jasmine finds her tires slashed. Note on windshield. Final warning. Walk away. She calls Samantha. They're escalating. Good. Desperate people make mistakes. Sunday morning, 24 hours until trial. 12 until Sullivan's shipment. We need that watch, Marcus insists. Jasmine calls Chen, requests Madison's personal effects for trial prep. While waiting, she drives to Madison's arrest site. The Chevron station has perfect sightlines. The clerk, a young black man named Terrell, recognizes her from the news. You're Madison Hayes' sister. Did you see what happened? It's an EO. He glances around nervously. Manager said our cameras were down. They weren't. You have footage. Corporate keeps 30-day backups. He slides her a flash drive. I could lose everything for this. My sister already has. In her car, Jasmine watches crystal clear footage. Chen approaching the trunk, removing something from his jacket, planting it, then signaling Sullivan. Indisputable evidence. She calls Samantha. I've got it, the smoking gun. That evening, Chen brings papers to Madison. Hidden among them, confirmation they have the gas station footage and Harris's wire recordings. Prosecutor offered a deal, Chen says loudly for the microphones. Madison plays along while slipping him the watch's location and cloud access codes. After Chen leaves, Morrison appears. Official security assessment for tomorrow's transfer. Everything's set, she whispers. Harris is wired. FBI's monitoring, but needs Sullivan caught red-handed. There's a GPS tracker, Madison reveals. Hidden in Sullivan's patrol car 3 months ago. Every warehouse visit logged. Morrison's eyes widen. You've been tracking him. For months. Every staged arrest, every payoff, every deposit. Why not come forward sooner? You saw what happened to my father when he tried. Madison's voice hardens. I needed bulletproof evidence. Sullivan has someone in Atlanta FBI, Madison continues. Every time I reached out, arrests spiked here. Who's the mole? Unknown, but everything's backed up. If something happens to me, it auto-releases to every major news outlet and federal agency simultaneously. Morrison stares with newfound respect. You didn't just investigate Sullivan. I let him frame himself. Madison's smile is cold. He thought he was destroying me. He was actually creating evidence. Monday, 5:30 a.m. Madison waits in her cell. Sullivan arrives personally unusual for a captain to handle prisoner transport. Ready for your big day, counselor. His smirk makes her skin crawl. Ready for the truth. Sullivan laughs. Truth? Like that missing dashcam footage. Or the Chevron security camera that caught Chen planting evidence. Madison watches his face change. Or the GPS tracker documenting your warehouse visits. Sullivan dismisses the other guards. Alone, his mask drops completely. You think you're smart. Your sister too. But federal prison has ways of handling smart people. You murdered my father. Jerome got careless, made accusations without proof. Unlike me. Madison's voice is steel. I have proof. Distributed to people you'll never find. For the first time, real fear flickers in Sullivan's eyes. Bluffing won't. This isn't a bluff, Marcus. She uses his first name deliberately. This is checkmate. The door opens. Chen enters, but not alone. Behind him, Samantha Cross and Assistant U.S. Attorney Williams from the Department of Justice. Captain Marcus Sullivan. Williams holds up a federal warrant. You're under arrest for racketeering narcotics, trafficking, evidence tampering, and conspiracy to commit murder. Sullivan reaches for his weapon. Morrison appears behind him, gun drawn. Don't even think about it. You're with them, Sullivan snarls. 11 months undercover. Morrison confirms, your empire just collapsed. As federal agents cuff Sullivan, Madison approaches. My father sent evidence to Atlanta 5 days before he died. They've been building this case ever since. She holds up her father's watch. He recorded everything, including your confession about killing him. Sullivan's rage explodes as he's dragged away, screaming threats that will become evidence at his trial. The courthouse steps swarm with media. U.S. Attorney Williams addresses the crowd while Madison stands free beside Jasmine. Today culminates an 8-year federal investigation into the most extensive police corruption network in Alabama history. Behind them, FBI agents escort Sullivan and 14 other officers in handcuffs. Captain Sullivan ran a criminal enterprise stealing drugs from evidence to resell while framing innocent citizens who threatened exposure. Detective Jerome Hayes began this investigation. His daughter, Madison Hayes, risked everything to complete it. The footage plays nationwide. 5 million in cocaine seized. Lieutenant Morrison from Internal Affairs among those arrested. The Atlanta FBI mole identified. All charges against Madison dropped. Judge Brennan impeached. Adia Patricia. Brennan disbarred. Harris receives immunity for his cooperation. His testimony helps exonerate 12 wrongfully convicted victims. Every single one of them black. Every single one had challenged the system. In the precinct parking lot, workers scrape Sullivan's name from his reserved spot. Inside, federal agents catalog evidence that will ensure convictions. But this victory is just the beginning. The real work of rebuilding trust between police and community has only started. Justice Strikes Back, Part 4. As Jasmine exits the jail, Detective Harris passes her in the corridor. Their eyes meet for a fraction of a second. He drops something, a folded paper that slides toward Madison's visitor chair. Madison retrieves it in the bathroom stall, hands trembling as she reads. Sullivan has moles in Atlanta FBI. Morrison is clean. Watch Lieutenant Morrison from Internal Affairs, he's Sullivan's. Moving you to Federal at dawn, where Sullivan owns guards. You have 12 hours. The paper dissolves in water as Madison flushes it. The chess pieces are moving faster now. Sullivan's not just trying to convict her, he's planning her murder. Outside, Jasmine finds her car surrounded by broken glass. All 4 tires slashed with surgical precision. A photo tucked under the wiper, her teenage daughter leaving school. The message is clear. comply, or lose everything. But Jasmine Hayes doesn't break. She photographs everything, uploads it to the cloud, then calls an Uber. Let them think they've won. Sunday morning, 36 hours until trial, 14 hours until Sullivan's shipment. We need that watch now. Marcus insists, fingers flying across his keyboard. Without Madison's recordings, we're firing blanks. Samantha nods. The physical evidence makes the difference between allegations and convictions. Jasmine's burner rings. Morrison's voice, urgent. Change of plans. Sullivan's moving the shipment up. Tonight, 9 p.m. instead of 11. He knows something's wrong. How could he know? Because Harris just disappeared. Sullivan's crew can't find him. The line goes dead. Jasmine's mind races. If Harris has gone dark, he's either dead or hidden by the feds. Either way, their window is closing. She calls Attorney Chen, requesting Madison's personal effects for trial preparation. While waiting for approval, she drives to the intersection where Madison was arrested. The Chevron station manager, a middle-aged white man, initially claims their cameras were broken. But the young black clerk, Terrell Washington, pulls Jasmine aside when his boss steps out. Cameras worked perfect that night, he whispers, sliding her a thumb drive. Been waiting for someone to ask. Why didn't you come forward? You see what happens to black folks who testify against cops. Terrell glances at the door. But your sister defended my cousin last year, got him acquitted when everyone said he was guilty. I owe her. In her car, Jasmine watches the footage. Crystal clear, multiple angles. Officer Chen removing a package from his jacket, planting it in Madison's trunk. Sullivan watching, orchestrating. She calls Samantha. We've got them. Dead to rights. Bring it back. Marcus needs to make copies before... The line cuts. Jasmine's phone is dead. She tries the burner, also dead. Her car won't start. Through the rearview mirror, she sees Sullivan's navigator approaching. Sunday evening. Chen arrives at the jail with paperwork playing his role perfectly. Hidden in the stack, confirmation that they have everything. The prosecutor's offering a deal, Chen announces for the cameras. 5 years instead of 20. Madison pretends to consider while slipping Chen detailed instructions about the watch and cloud backup passwords. After Chen leaves, Morrison appears. This time, it's real Detective Angela Morrison, the federal plant. Status update, she whispers. Harris is in protective custody. He recorded Sullivan discussing your father's murder. Madison's breath catches. He admitted it, bragged about it, said Jerome was getting too close, had to be silenced. Morrison glances at the door. But there's a problem. Sullivan knows we're moving tonight. He's accelerating everything. The shipment. And you. He's not waiting until dawn. Transport's in 2 hours. His people will stage an accident en route. Madison's mind races. Then we spring the trap now. Not enough evidence yet. We need him at the warehouse with the drugs. I can give you something better. Madison reveals the GPS tracker she planted. 3 months of movements, every crime scene, every payoff location, every meeting with dealers. Morrison's eyes widen. That's enough for warrants. There's more. The watch, it has audio recordings. Sullivan confessing to planting evidence, discussing murders, planning frame-ups. Where is it? Property storage. Logged as personal effects. Madison grabs Morrison's arm. If Sullivan gets to it first, he won't. Morrison stands. Federal agents are already moving. By midnight, this is over. As Morrison leaves, Madison sees Chen in the corridor. Their eyes meet. He nods slightly. Message received. The trap is set. Now they wait for Sullivan to walk into it. 10:47 p.m. The warehouse district is dark except for Unit 47's loading dock. Sullivan's navigator arrives first, followed by 3 patrol cars. No sirens, no lights, a criminal operation hiding behind badges. From a building across the street, FBI agents watch through scopes. In a van 2 blocks away, Jasmine and Samantha monitor surveillance feeds while Marcus tracks GPS signals. Sullivan's inside, Marcus confirms. Thompson and Chen just arrived. On screen, they watch Sullivan unlock the warehouse. Inside, millions in cocaine stacked like office supplies. Sullivan makes a call. Distribution in 20 minutes. Everyone in position. Through Harris's wire, hidden in the federal safe house, they hear everything. The Hayes situation is handled. Sullivan continues. Transport accident happens at the I-65 curve. Make it look believable. That's when the lights come on. Not warehouse lights, FBI spotlights from every direction. FBI, nobody move. Sullivan reaches for his weapon. A shot rings out Morrison's warning shot into the ceiling. Next one goes center mass Marcus. The use of his first name makes Sullivan freeze. He knows that voice. Federal agents pour in from every entrance. Sullivan's crew drops their weapons hands, rising in surrender, except Sullivan. He stands defiant, calculating. "You've got nothing," he snarls. "This is entrapment." Assistant U.S. Attorney Williams enters holding up a tablet. On it plays audio Sullivan's voice discussing Madison's father. Jerome was a problem. Had to make it look self-inflicted. Amazing what people believe when you control the narrative. Sullivan's face goes white. 8 years of surveillance, Williams announces. 6 months of recordings. 3 months of GPS tracking. Witness testimony from 16 officers. You're done, Captain. As agents cuff Sullivan, more vehicles arrive. News vans with cameras rolling. Jasmine made sure the media would witness this. Sullivan spots her filming. "You stupid girl, you have no idea who you're messing with. This goes higher than—" "Captain Sullivan," Morrison interrupts. "You have the right to remain silent. I suggest you use it." Monday, 6:00 a.m. Federal Courthouse Emergency Session. Madison stands in the courtroom, but this time, she's not the defendant. She's the key witness as federal prosecutors present evidence against Sullivan and his network. Judge Patricia Washington, brought in from Atlanta to avoid local corruption, reviews the evidence. The gas station footage, Madison's recordings, Harris's testimony, financial records showing millions in offshore accounts. This court finds sufficient evidence to dismiss all charges against Madison Hayes with prejudice, Judge Washington declares. Furthermore, this court orders immediate federal investigation into all cases handled by the defendants over the past decade. The gallery erupts. Madison's colleagues, her clients, community members who've waited years for justice, all celebrating. Sullivan, now in orange jumpsuit and shackles, is led past Madison. He stops guards, allowing a moment. "Your father would be proud," he says, "but it's not mockery, it's defeat." "He is," Madison replies. From wherever he's watching, he finally has justice. The courthouse steps are packed with media from around the nation. U.S. Attorney Williams addresses the crowd. Today marks the end of a criminal enterprise that operated under color of law for nearly a decade. 15 officers arrested, 5 million in drugs seized, 12 wrongful convictions overturned. Behind him, Madison stands with Jasmine, Samantha, and Marcus, the team that brought down an empire. This investigation began with Detective Jerome Hayes, who died pursuing justice. His daughter, Madison Hayes, risked her life and freedom to complete his work. She represents the best of what our justice system can be: fearless, principled, and incorruptible. A reporter shouts, "Ms. Hayes, what's next for you?" Madison steps to the microphones. "There are 11 other people wrongfully convicted by this network. My first priority is securing their freedom. After that," she looks directly at the camera, "there are more Sullivans out there, more departments that need cleaning. This isn't over, it's just beginning." 6 months later, the Jerome Hayes Justice Center opens in downtown Birmingham. Madison stands at the podium addressing a packed auditorium. "My father believed that justice wasn't just about law, it was about truth. Today, we launch an initiative that will provide free legal representation to victims of police corruption nationwide." The crowd rises in applause. In the front row sit the 12 people wrongfully convicted by Sullivan's network, all now free. Carmen Rodriguez hired as the center's community liaison. Terrell Washington, the gas station clerk, now studying law with a full scholarship. Detective Morrison, promoted to captain, has implemented mandatory body cameras, civilian oversight, and transparency protocols. The Birmingham Police Department, under federal monitoring, has become a model for reform. Harris, granted immunity for his cooperation, retired early, but volunteers at the center, training young lawyers in investigative techniques. Sullivan sits in federal prison, serving life without parole. 14 other officers joined him. The message is clear: corruption has consequences. After the ceremony, Madison visits her father's grave. The headstone now reads, Detective Jerome Hayes, 1963-2017, killed in the line of duty. Justice prevailed. She places his watch beside fresh flowers, the same watch that held the evidence that brought down an empire. "We did it, Dad," she whispers. "But you were right. This is bigger than Birmingham, bigger than Sullivan." Morrison approaches respectfully. "There's something you should know. The DOJ wants to expand your model nationally. They're offering you a position deputy director of the Civil Rights Division." Madison considers. "Can I keep the center running?" "That's the idea. Use it as a blueprint for others." Madison looks at her father's grave, then at the city skyline. Birmingham is healing, but America has countless Birminghams, countless Sullivans, countless victims waiting for justice. "When do I start?" "Whenever you're ready." Madison touches her father's headstone one last time. "I've been ready for 8 years." As she walks away, her phone buzzes. Jasmine has forwarded a message. Anonymous tip about police corruption in Memphis. 3 officers. Same pattern as Birmingham. Madison smiles grimly. The work continues. Because justice isn't a destination, it's a journey. And Madison Hayes has miles to go before she rests. The war against corruption doesn't end with one victory. It begins with it. The Reckoning, Part 5, Final. In the renovated Birmingham Police Department, federal oversight teams catalog evidence from Sullivan's network. 15 officers' lockers yield drugs cache and burner phones. Each discovery becomes another federal charge. Applications from minority officers flood in 300% increase in 6 weeks. The department Sullivan corrupted for a decade transforms under Morrison's leadership, becoming a national model for reform. Samantha Cross left her consulting firm to become the Hayes Justice Initiative's lead investigator. Her forensic accounting skills have already uncovered corruption in 3 neighboring counties. Marcus Chen developed encrypted reporting systems for whistleblowers nationwide. His app, Blue Line Watch, has received 12,000 downloads in its first month. Tips pour in from departments across America. Jasmine Hayes won the Pulitzer Prize for her series Behind the Badge, An American Corruption Story. Netflix and HBO compete for the rights. But more importantly, her reporting sparked federal investigations in 7 states. The ceremony at Jefferson County Courthouse draws hundreds. Madison stands before the crowd wearing her father's watch, the one that brought down an empire. "Justice delayed is not justice denied," she begins. "My father knew that. He planted seeds of truth that took 8 years to bloom. Today, those seeds become a forest. Behind her, 12 wrongfully convicted victims stand free." Deshaun Williams, the community organizer Sullivan framed, now runs for city council. Maria Santos returned to teaching, her record expunged. Each represents thousands more across America facing similar injustice. Judge Patricia Washington, brought from Atlanta to oversee the trials, delivered verdicts that sent shockwaves through law enforcement nationwide. Sullivan life without parole for racketeering, murder conspiracy, and 63 counts of civil rights violations. Chen Thompson and 11 other sentences ranging from 15 to 40 years. But one verdict matters most. The federal inquest officially ruled Jerome Hayes' death a homicide. Sullivan faces additional murder charges. After the ceremony, Madison meets with Assistant U.S. Attorney Williams in her new office at the Hayes Justice Initiative. "The Department of Justice wants to replicate your model," Williams says. 30 cities have requested programs. "We need you leading the national effort." "I'm one person." You're a symbol. The daughter who finished her father's work. The lawyer who let herself be framed to expose corruption. That carries weight, Madison considers. Through her window, she sees Birmingham rebuilding, new community policing programs, citizen review boards with actual power, body cameras that can't be accidentally turned off. I'll do it on one condition, she says. Full autonomy, no political interference. And the first 3 cities we target Memphis, New Orleans, and Chicago. Williams raises an eyebrow. You've already been investigating. Sullivan was part of a network, interstate drug distribution using police departments as cover. Those 3 cities have similar patterns. That's ambitious. My father thought small. Look what it cost him. Madison's eyes are steel. We go big or we don't go at all. Williams extends his hand. Welcome to the Department of Justice Deputy Director Hayes. That evening, Madison visits Jerome's grave with her mother, Eleanor. The elder Hayes has aged years and months, but her eyes shine with pride. He would have loved this, Eleanor says, touching the headstone, seeing you finish his work. It's not finished, Mom. Sullivan was just one head of the Hydra. I know. Eleanor pulls out a worn notebook. This was your father's. Names he never got to investigate. Departments he suspected. Consider it your inheritance. Madison opens it. Dozens of cities, hundreds of names, patterns highlighted in her father's careful handwriting. He knew it was bigger than Birmingham. He knew it was bigger than America. Eleanor's voice drops. International drug cartels using American police as distribution networks. He was building a case for Interpol when Sullivan killed him. Madison's phone buzzes. Text from an unknown number. Your father was right about Chicago. Meet me at Millennium Park. Midnight. Come alone. A friend who knew Jerome. She shows Eleanor, who nods. Your father had allies everywhere. Good cops who couldn't speak up. Until now. At midnight, Madison stands by Cloud Gate. A figure emerges from shadows. Detective Raymond Walsh, Chicago PD, 20-year veteran. Jerome saved my life once, Walsh says. Warned me I was being set up. Now Chicago's got its own Sullivan. Commander Patricia Morris runs the North Side like her personal cartel. Why come forward now? Because you proved it's possible. You brought down Sullivan. Morris is scared. Walsh hands her a flash drive. 3 years of recordings, financial records, murder confessions, everything. This is enough for federal charges. There's more. Morris has connections to cartels in Juarez. She's not just dealing drugs, she's trafficking humans. Kids. Madison's blood runs cold. This is bigger than corruption. This is evil. I need protection for you and your family. Already arranged. FBI's had me undercover for 6 months. We were waiting for someone with your credibility to go public. They part ways, but Madison doesn't go home. She drives to the Hayes Justice Initiative, where her team waits. Chicago's in play, she announces. But this is different. International trafficking, cartel connections. We're not just fighting corrupt cops anymore. Marcus pulls up encrypted files. I've been tracking similar patterns. Detroit, Baltimore, Houston, all major cities with ports or border access. It's a network, Samantha adds, using police departments as nodes. Drugs go in, money comes out, all protected by badges. Jasmine, ever the journalist, sees the story. This could be the biggest corruption scandal in American history. Or the most dangerous story, never told, Madison counters. These people killed my father for getting close. We're about to blow it wide open. The room falls silent. They all understand the stakes. I'm in, Marcus says first. Same, Samantha adds. Jasmine nods. Dad would want us to finish this. Madison looks at each of them. Her team, her family, her army against injustice. Then we do this right. Federal protection for everyone. Full DOJ resources. And we hit them all simultaneously. No warning. No escape. 3 months later, Operation Clean Shield launches at dawn. 17 cities, 300 arrests. FBI, DEA, and ATF agents execute warrants from coast to coast. Madison watches from the DOJ command center as corrupt officers are led away in handcuffs. Chicago's Commander Morris. Detroit's Captain Johnson. Houston's entire narcotics unit. The president addresses the nation. Today, we confront a cancer in American law enforcement. Thanks to the courage of officers like Jerome Hayes and advocates like his daughter Madison, we're excising that cancer. But Madison knows better. Cancer has a way of returning. In federal prison, Sullivan watches the news. His network built over decades destroyed in hours. He makes a call to his lawyer. Tell Madison Hayes she won this round. But there are people above me. People she can't touch. This isn't over. The message reaches Madison that evening. She reads it, then burns it. Let them come. She's ready. The next morning, Madison stands in her DOJ office looking at a map of America. Red pins mark corrupted departments. There are hundreds. Morrison enters. Interpol called. They want to discuss international expansion of your program. Schedule it. There's something else. Anonymous package arrived. Morrison hands her a box. Inside her father's police badge, supposedly destroyed in evidence. A note attached. He never stopped fighting. Neither should you. Friends in high places. Madison pins the badge next to the map. Jerome Hayes' legacy isn't just justice for Birmingham. It's justice for everyone everywhere who's been crushed by corrupted power. Her phone rings. Jasmine's voice excited. Madison, you need to see this. Whistleblower from NYPD says their corruption goes all the way to City Hall. Madison smiles. The work continues. That evening, she records a video for the Hayes Initiative's website. To every corrupt officer watching, we're coming. To every victim suffering in silence, we're here. To every whistleblower afraid to speak, you're not alone. My father, Jerome Hayes, died fighting this fight, but his death wasn't an ending. It was a beginning. The beginning of your end. The video goes viral. 12 million views in 24 hours. Tips flood in from around the world. In her apartment that night, Madison opens her father's notebook again. On the last page in his handwriting, Madison, if you're reading this, I'm gone, but you're not alone. Look for the helpers. They're everywhere, waiting for someone brave enough to lead. Be that person. Love, Dad. Below it, a list of names. Federal judges, honest cops, journalists, prosecutors. An army he'd assembled waiting for activation. Madison starts making calls. By dawn, she's spoken to 200 allies across the country. The revolution Jerome Hayes started hasn't ended. It's just begun. 1 year later, the Hayes Justice Initiative has chapters in 50 cities, thousands of corrupt officers prosecuted, hundreds of wrongful convictions overturned. Madison testifies before Congress about systemic reform. Behind her sit 50 exonerated victims, each representing thousands more. Corruption isn't just about individual bad actors, she tells the Assembly. It's about systems that protect them. We need federal oversight, citizen accountability, and consequences that matter. The Accountability in Policing Act passes unanimously. It's nicknamed Jerome's Law. Sullivan, serving life in Supermax, watches his legacy crumble. Every officer he trained, every system he built, every protection he enjoyed, gone. In Birmingham, a statue is unveiled. Jerome and Madison Hayes standing together. The inscription, "Justice is not inherited. It is earned." At the ceremony, 10-year-old Destiny Thompson approaches Madison. "Ms. Hayes, I want to be a lawyer like you." Madison kneels to her level. "Why?" "Because my daddy was one of the people Captain Sullivan framed. You freed him. I want to free others." Madison hands her a card. "Call me when you graduate law school. The fight will still need soldiers." As the crowd disperses, Morrison approaches. "There's a situation in Los Angeles. Officer-involved trafficking ring. They're asking for you." Madison looks at the statue of her father, then at the young girl walking away with hope in her eyes. Bhakti, book the flight, because justice never sleeps, and neither does Madison Hayes. 5 years pass. The Hayes Institute operates globally. Madison addresses the United Nations about police corruption as a human rights crisis. My father was one man who stood against an empire of corruption, she says. They killed him for it. But ideas don't die with the people who carry them. Justice doesn't end with one victory. It multiplies with every person who refuses to accept injustice as normal. The assembly rises in ovation. That night, Madison returns to Birmingham, to her father's grave. The cemetery is quiet, peaceful. "We did it, Dad," she whispers. "Not just Sullivan, not just Birmingham. We changed the world." Wind rustles through trees. For a moment, she swears she hears his voice. "No, baby girl, you changed the world. I just showed you it was possible." Madison Hayes stands, adjusts her father's watch on her wrist, and walks toward tomorrow. The fight continues. The work is never done. Justice is not a destination. It's a journey that each generation must walk anew. And Madison Hayes has miles to go before she sleeps. Miles to go. Say, if this story of courage against corruption moved you, subscribe now for more powerful narratives of justice and truth. Hit that notification bell to join our community of changemakers. Share this video with someone who needs to know that one person can make a difference. Because sometimes the most important stories are the ones powerful people don't want told. Remember, justice isn't inherited, it's earned every single day.